All right. Welcome, everybody, and good evening. This is Season 3, Episode 19 of MotivateMe313's podcast. Today, we are not live. This is actually a pre-recorded episode, but looking forward to this show, of course. First of all, let me go ahead and introduce the individuals that are in the building today. Starting off with little big bro Yusuf Thabit in the back on the ones and twos. As always, we appreciate him. To the right of me, we have Sada Thabit, a.k.a. Sada T in the building. Sister Sada Thabit, by the way. Of course, you got myself, Omar T. To the left of me, we have Abid Thabit. She's in the building as well. I gave her full name, full government name and everything, ready to go. And then to the left of her is a familiar face on the podcast. We call these people friends of the podcast.
Family.
Family as well. Shout out to Melanie, a.k.a. from Haute Hijab.
Yeah.
Is that close?
I like how you still look at me like I'm saying it right.
Was that all right?
You got it.
There you go. I said what?
It's like saying like Haute Hijab, like right?
She knows.
No, like isn't that how you say it? Like you're an Arabi?
Sure.
Melanie's in the building today. We appreciate her. She's been on the show a couple times. Anytime she's in town, we try to get her on. We appreciate
One
her
of our
for coming
favorites.
on. For sure. And
Top 5 for sure.
Yep, we've had some great episodes. I think, believe it or not, Melanie, you hold the most viewed podcast, by the way. So go ahead and give her the round of applause. Yeah.
People love you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so the most viewed podcast show that we've had is with this lady right here. So you already know. Stay on. Be sure to tune in. It's going to be a great one because today we are going to talk about what it means to find peace and finding our peace. So definitely an important conversation with everything that's happening in the world today. We're going to hear what Melanie has to say about that. And even this is one of those shows where you can share our thoughts as well. Before we do that, though, be sure to follow us on all of our socials. You got YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all under Oz Media. You'll be able to listen to this show later on Apple and Spotify podcasts under Oz Media. Shout out to our sponsors, the Balkan House, Juice Box, Qahwah House, BC Adhesives, Specialty Medical Center, and Hanley International Academy. We're going to start off with the sponsor that we're enjoying some nice identity tea. You know, my wife made it, but the tea is actually from Qahwah House, so we appreciate Qahwah House. And shout out to my wife as well for making the tea. And go ahead and give them a shout out, Yusuf, Qahwah House, and then we're going to officially get this show on the road.
You know, if you're ever in need of some coffee, then you have to stop by the best place in the country. You know what that is, Yusuf?
Yeah, man, it's gotta be the Qahwah House.
It's definitely the Qahwah House. It's the first Yemeni coffee shop of its kind. You can stop by Qahwah House to try their famous Yemeni lattes, Adani shahis, mafawad, and jubani coffees. You can also stop by to try their delicious pastries, such as the Yemeni favorite sabaya, everything mini bites, and they even serve sambusas. They have locations in Michigan, New Jersey, New York, and Illinois, with more locations coming to a state near you. So no matter where you're at in the country, be sure to stop by Qahwah House and get a glimpse of what the Yemeni culture is all about. Also, don't forget to download the new Qahwah House app. You can now order your coffee and go, skipping the line entirely. It's like having your own personal barista.
That the coffee industry has yet to be
Infiltrated?
Yeah.
Just give it time.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. With that said, we're just talking about Qahwah House, which opened a new location in New York. They also opened one in Dearborn Heights. I know this last one, I mentioned that new locations will be coming soon. We actually recorded this back in August. So then they got one in Dearborn Heights. They got one in New York. And they got one in Westland. We just went to that one in Westland. It's connected to Sahuba's Soho Banquet Hall, but you can actually go to Qahwah House without actually having to go inside of the hall.
I remember seeing it while I was getting, fixed.
Renovated and stuff. All right. Well, Melanie, welcome back. We kind of, have you on a show at least once a year, alhamdulillah. So it's always nice to check in and see how you've been from last year to this year. So what's new in Melanie's world?
Oh man, same old grind. Alhamdulillah, not much, to be honest. It's been a difficult time for all of us these last 4 months, and I feel like before that I was here not long before that. But alhamdulillah, all is good. I'm just continuing to move forward, take every day, and try and make the most of it. Alhamdulillah.
Peeking out of the cocoon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm peeking out of the cocoon so I can fully emerge like the butterfly I am.
For sure. I want to say earlier when they were saying that you had the most views on this podcast, I'm like, come on, her energy is so addicting.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It is.
So
Like
mashallah,
taking off,
but-
yeah.
That's why I
Give
want to
your
play
payment
her
later.
in her movie. I can at least like act like you know?
Oh, girl, you don't have to try hard.
Talk to us. How's business going? Everything's going well.
It's good. It's good. So I was in the GCC for almost 2 months in the fall because we're opening up. We opened up in the UAE.
Oh, mashallah.
Mashallah.
Barakallah.
Mubarak.
Allahumma
Mubarak.
barak. So we operationalized there so that they don't have to get their orders from the US. And just grinding out there. There's so much opportunity. The women are so excited. I had a few events out there. It was amazing. Like I was gonna cry coming back to New York, honestly. And I've never in my life felt that way. Like I can't wait to run back home to New York. And this time I was like, take me back.
Wow.
So we'll see where life takes me because I never thought I'd even feel that way. Like New York, I thought was home forever.
Yeah, because I remember our last show you said that you like living in New York.
I love it.
Yeah.
But this time, I think also with what's happening in the world, my America bubble has just burst.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and not that there's like so many other great places that are, that are great alternatives, but I think I carried a little bit of American entitlement around that it melted away. And then I lived in Dubai for 4 years and I had that with me when I lived there. This time around, I did not carry that with me. And it was a different experience because I was able to fully immerse myself in the culture and the vibes and just the country without being like, but America. Because we were raised that way here, you know? You
Yeah.
just,
100%.
in school, they teach you things a certain way and you don't know the truth until you get older and find out for yourself if you're lucky enough to do that.
100%.
So I was in that America, Delulu for too long.
Yeah.
So I think that's what really did it.
And I think that's with all of us when we kind of go overseas. That's the same way that we kind of act, and without maybe doing it on purpose. It's just one of those things that just kind of naturally happens.
They put that proud of the USA in you so much to the point where when you leave, you're always thinking that, well, no, it's not like, well, we do this, and you're in that bubble. But I feel like now with everything going on, it's like, am I proud?
I'm
really
kind of
to be-
embarrassed. Yeah, I'm embarrassed. Like, I
this
want to
is
look
not
down.
where this is not the principles that was taught in school. Like, no.
Yeah, I was embarrassed.
Like, I'm thankful that we live, like, at least around, like, Arab kind of, where, like, yeah, I'm in America, but I kind of don't feel like I'm, like, around,
feel
people that don't
betrayed, too.
understand. Yeah, I feel betrayed for sure.
Like, y'all don't really like us.
Yeah.
Even though I am an American citizen, just throwing it out there.
I was born and raised here.
Hey, stop playing.
Betrayed is a good word.
Yeah.
And Melanie, when you come over here, usually there's something, some other stuff happening. You were talking about that you will be speaking at a college.
Yeah, I'm going to be speaking at Wayne State on Thursday night.
Hey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What's the theme or what's the reasoning behind this?
It's World Hijab Day on Thursday.
Oh.
How cute.
Which I'm going to be honest with you, I think these things are dumb. I'm sorry. Women's
day
Day
to
and
celebrate.
a day for all these things.
Every day.
Listen, of course I will go and speak. I'll talk about hijab anytime. I just feel that anytime we have to have these days, it just highlights.
I think the intention is just to, like, have that awareness, but then that lasts for a week or two, and then it's on to the next.
Yeah, no disrespect. Truly, I don't want to sound like one of those people because God bless the people who started it and they do good work. It's just like, and it's not against World Hijab Day. It's just like these days that we have. I just feel like, okay. Okay. I don't know. Maybe that's rude, but
No,
No,
I
I
get what
agree.
you're trying to say,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to like, not to throw Valentine's Day on there, but that's not the only, or Mother's Day. It's not, that shouldn't be the
or, like,
only day that
teacher
you.
appreciation, and nurse. It's like it's always for the undervalued.
Yeah. And why only give us a day? We should appreciate this every day.
Straight up. But Women's Day is the one I can't stand the most. We're half the population. I'm sorry. Why do we need a whole ass day? Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry. Why? Somebody tell me. because all that does is reinforce to me that this is truly a man's world and we
Yeah.
just get to live in it. And I understand that men and women have completely different roles in this world, but like Women's Day, what does that mean?
That just you just mind like there's not a Men's Day because they
Yeah,
already know they're
and why would there be?
Man,
Where are you going, Abby?
nowhere. You really put it into perspective. That was. There you
It
go.
just reinforces the fact that we are not the same as you.
Listen, us
Trying to
men.
make us feel better about ourselves.
Us men.
Here, take the
Yeah,
bone.
let's run in the back, just like laughing, like, huh. Look at them celebrating Women's Day. They're celebrating Women's Day.
I'm so embarrassed.
Well, like now he's like, you gotta put it into perspective. Like you're right. It's always the undervalued.
Hey, let's give
So,
them
like-
let's give them a hashtag.
Straight up. Maybe they'll be quiet.
Oh my God.
We gave them a whole day. And so
Did it get hot in here?
No, it is messed up. Seriously, it is. If you really think about it, and not just Women's Day. Like I
So
know,
you're a deep thinker.
I know there's African Americans who think Black History Month of being the shortest month of the year. By the
yeah,
way,
what's that about?
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of people that like look at those things like as
In the
like,
cold, dreary winter, what's that about?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So
And then if we take that same tafkir or mode of thinking and then apply that to World Hijab Day, what's that saying about us as muhajjabat, as women who wear hijab? I don't like it.
Yeah.
Again, no disrespect because I know the people who started it meant very well and they do good work. It's just like, as a whole, these things to me, I just think they're
No, you make a valid point.
Yeah.
great conversation as always with Melanie. We appreciate it.
such a
That's what it is.
troublemaker.
No, that's what it
10
is.
different topics all in.
This happened last time
minutes.
too, so this happens. You know, so why we enjoy having these conversations. So, again, today what we're going to talk about is finding peace. And my first question to everyone that's sitting here is, I guess, why is it important for someone to find peace? And then I want to make this like a two-part question because some people may confuse peace with happiness. And if you think there's a difference, how is it different from someone who is trying to find happiness? So, Melanie, why is it important for someone to find peace, and how does it differ, if you do think that way, than from someone that's trying to find happiness?
Definitely. It's so important to find peace because if you are not sitting, peace for me is synonymous with contentment. When you're content, you find peace. And that you can have when there's a tornado around you. You can still find the contentment and the peace within the eye of the storm. Happiness is a different feeling. It's a different emotion. And happiness is fleeting. That's why they say in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, I'm not sure, the pursuit of happiness. Because life and liberty is one thing, but happiness is not guaranteed. It's the pursuit of it. And it's yours if you want it. But it's not there all the time whenever you want it. Whereas peace is there for you anytime because that comes from within your heart in terms of how you deal with your surroundings, good, bad, ugly, and everything in between.
What are your thoughts, Abir?
Peace for me is very similar, but I feel like without peace, you can't grow, you can't cooperate. I feel like it really hinders you. You can't get like with peace, like there's you see you have clarity. There's no anxiety, but it definitely comes from within. I feel like no one else can give you peace but yourself, because you know, and we're gonna dive into this more into the podcast. But like with peace, it comes in from within, and even if there is obviously there's things that are gonna come at you that are gonna corrupt your peace, but you can focus in a certain way to keep your peace. But when happiness, it's a day by day thing. It could be an event. It could be something simple. But with peace, it's grounding. It's like it's a skeleton of your backbone of the skeleton. It's like it's more deeper. That's more long term. That's more of something that's within.
Yeah, for sure. Did you want to add on something to that, or are you good?
Can't have me say something after
After
these
those
literally,
two
yeah.
answers,
It was hard
yeah.
for me to even add on to that.
She literally took the words because I was gonna say like if you're corrupted from within, it doesn't matter what like happens to you. Even if it's something good, you'll be negative in a sense.
Yeah.
Where like when you find peace and when you figure out what's your personal problem, because like obviously other people's problems, especially if you care about them, can affect you. But if you're okay with yourself, and create that peace with yourself, you kind of have that shield.
Yeah.
Where like if they're throwing at you, it's gonna bounce back. You know.
Yeah, I think finding peace is true happiness. And for me personally, whenever you find peace, whatever it is that you, like you said, being content with what's going on in life, and I think you said this, but happiness is like a fleeting emotion. You know what I mean? Like it comes and goes. I bet you said it's day by day. Whereas peace, no matter what happens, even if you had a bad day, you could still be at peace. You know what I'm saying? Whereas happiness, I could be, the Lions won last week or 2 weeks ago, and then they lost this past week. So it's like, it's one of those things where it can come and go. But the funny thing is, as we mentioned, the Lions, I am at peace with the team in general. I am at peace with the team in general. So it's like, even though it was like, we lost, overall, it was like, okay, it is what it is.
It's a good season.
Yeah. So I had to mention the Lions. It's like our first show after the Lions, so it had to be mentioned at least once. It was a great year. I appreciate them, but we'll see how that happens. But thank you for sharing that. Those are some great responses. So the reason why we had this conversation is because Melanie had a post that talked about finding your peace, and we thought, I bet it was like, this was a great
She
topic.
broke it down in a way where I was like, oh, we need to hear more.
Yeah, and so one of the first bullet points she had was that, and discussed that, how you find peace, and that's what we're doing, basically breaking it down. So to you is knowing that falsehood will always be dismantled by the truth. That was the first thing that you said. You said finding peace to you is knowing that falsehood would always be dismantled by the truth. What do you mean by that? I feel like that's like a deep line right there. You know what I'm saying?
So this was all in the context of what's happening in Gaza. Because day after day after day, we were sifting through horrific imagery, videos, all of it, testimonies, and it was so unsettling. It left us so anxious, so rage-filled, so wanting to, Allah forced us all to find ways to be at peace with what we saw. Otherwise, we would explode. And so even if you weren't one of those pouring through all of the coverage every day, it still found a way to you, because none of us could escape it. And so I myself had to get to a place of peace if I was to work, be a functioning person in the world at large. If I was to engage with my family in a meaningful way, I had to get to that place for myself. And then when I was able to get there, I thought, all right, let me put this out and maybe it'll help somebody else. So that first bullet point around the falsehood will always be dismantled by the truth was so important to, that's divine law, that I know for sure. And we all know that the truth always comes out. Falsehood is devil energy. Falsehood, lies, deception, that's shaitan. And shaitan knows how to maneuver, but light, truth always trumps devil energy. It's just a matter of time. And so deceit can only go so far before truth finally overtakes it. And that's just divine. We know that light will always overpower dark, because darkness doesn't have any real power. It looks like it does. It pretends like it does. It does not create. It
feeds off of who would believe it in a way.
Exactly. Deception. It deceives. But the energy underneath it is in fact very, very weak. Whereas light energy is powerful, potent. You know it when you see it. Allah is behind it. And so that will always overtake, always. And so with all the lies that we had been seeing, all the propaganda, it was blood boiling to look at. We were just like, how? Like, it was so unnerving.
Do you see what I see?
Yeah. Hello. Exactly. Like, what's happening? And so one of those truths that I needed to remind myself is be patient. Falsehood, lies will always be dismantled by the truth. Give it time. It may not be in our lifetime, by the way.
Yeah.
Because there are truths that have come out from generations ago about what actually went down, but the truth still came out one day. So we don't have any control over the timing, but we do know for certain that the truth will prevail always. And that was for me one piece of finding peace.
Beautiful.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, when it's yourself, when people are spreading rumors about you, how angry you get, and you're like, you know, and there's proof and everything, and you know, you get worked up. But this is like a whole country. These are babies dying. These are families being torn apart. Like it did in the beginning. I feel like we all went through stages. It was like immense anger and pain, and it's hard to find the peace. I feel like some people still haven't found the peace, but remembering that, you know, Allah has a promise. You know, having that yaqeen, that true belief, you know, that the truth will come. And Allah will definitely, you know, everybody will get theirs.
Mm-hmm.
I could say for sure that what helped me find peace was learning more about it and learning how it started and going way back and like listening to Musa alayhi salam's story and Ibrahim alayhi salam's story. Like it made me kind of, I wanted to know from the start to connect all the dots. To not that to like be like, oh, so it can make sense to me, but more like I know the information, so if I'm ever questioned from someone, I could be able to express it in the best way possible.
And going back to what you were saying, Abir, because that kind of leads us to the next one, is one of the other posts that you put, Melanie, said, God sees everything from your broken heart to the evil that lies in others. I mean, I think we kind of have an idea, but maybe you want to dive into that one as well.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with it. And so when you're alone crying in your house, in your bedroom over these people, and then someone can turn around and accuse you of not doing enough, you're like, what? Mm-hmm. You know, there was a lot of pressure to perform. And unless that performance comes from a genuine place, baleha. Forget it. We don't need performative acts. We need acts of sincere ikhlas, sincerity, genuine wanting to put out good into the world, to heal. And so if that means that you're spending the night in salah that nobody sees and that's how you're helping, that's 1,000,000 times better than somebody with their performative action who, I hate to say this, but we saw a lot of people capitalize on this terror we've been seeing for their own benefit. We've seen a lot of people center themselves in what's been happening, and I don't like to see it. And so that's why I said that Allah sees what's in your heart. Allah knows all that you do. So it doesn't matter who saw you and didn't see you. You don't do this for people. You do it out of the goodness for your heart, fi sabilillah, for the people of Gaza. This is about nothing more than that. And that's why it was important to mention that. And then the evil in other hearts as well, because, you know, you would get into these personal engagements and entanglements with people online. And it's like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
And they've got the world fooled. And you're just like, release it. Give it to God. You don't need to engage. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to ensure that they understand. They don't need to understand. It's fine. Leave it alone. Give it to Allah. Allah sees what's in everybody's heart, the good, the evil, all of it in between. We don't need to take it into our own hands to put forth whatever action we think needs to happen. We don't need to be doing any of that. So, you know, it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't sometimes. And I feel like a lot of people felt a little disheartened or disillusioned if they weren't doing the right thing. And that made me sad, because people who were so genuine and just like trying to help in whatever way they could were feeling like it wasn't enough.
Yeah. I feel like if you weren't posting, if you weren't, you know, commenting or backing, it got to a point where it was very overwhelming. But nothing beats a sincere dua.
Wallahi.
A sincere tahajjud prayer. You know, Allah hears the like He's good. He's gonna listen to your dua if you do it with a sincere heart, with pure intentions. I feel like, wallah, like for me, it was like, fix yourself first. You know, get your, you know, pray right, pray your tahajjud. You know, focus on, you know, learning about the Quran, learning about, you know, Allah's promise, building that yaqeen.
Not to interrupt, sorry.
Okay.
And also, what this genocide that we've been watching was meant to teach you.
Oh, 100%.
Because this is not just a lesson for them. This is a lesson for all of us. It was like a mirror that was in front of our face, reflecting back to us the ills in us, the shadows in us that we need to confront and face. Whether that's an oppressor in our lives that we need to resist once and for all and say, no, I'm not taking this anymore. Or whether it's the fact that you're an avoidant person who avoids looking at your own inner pain by avoiding looking at what's happening. Oh, I can't look at it. Oh, I can't look at it. Most likely because there's something in your own life you're unwilling to look at. Yep. And so all of us, that it was triggered in every single one of us, something that we needed to look at, and it's different for all of us. Uh-huh. So start there, because if we start with ourselves and each human, if our ummah was in a place where we are all fixated on ourselves instead of looking outward and pointing the blame and judgment on others, we'd be so strong.
Yes.
We wouldn't be here today.
Can we give that a round of applause? Because that definitely deserves a round of applause.
Beautiful.
When you think about, okay, not to go back, but we're going to go back. During the Battle of Badr, their army, I forgot what army we were first versing, but their army had way more people than we did. And Muhammad ﷺ raised his hands up and made his dua, and the angels came and helped him. But that's that sincere heart, that pure, genuine belief that Allah got them. And I feel like we have doubts.
Yeah.
And what did we learn the last episode?
We how we go about Allah is what Allah's gonna give to us. So if we think He's the Almighty, He's going to be the Almighty in our lives. If we doubt what He could do for us or in our tawakkul, He's gonna be like, all right, well, I'll keep you where you are. If you're not gonna think that I could, rizq you with more and more.
And finding that peace that Palestine will be free. That is our promise. But there's those doubts of America, Israel, you know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of work to do with ourselves.
Yeah.
No, it's a great point.
As long
I think
as
it's true.
realizing it too.
Yeah, I think what you were mentioning about ourselves, working on ourselves, I think that's the first step before anything, because people need to, really focus on the truth.
Perfecting your deen.
Because if you do that, that's the first step. That's like the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can actually start helping people. But you need to
and
first.
That's how you find peace.
Yes.
When you perfect it, and you look within. Seriously, it kind of ties all together.
It sounds like a great time for an ad. I mean, that's how you got to end it right there. All right, we're gonna give a shout out to our second sponsor of today, which is going to be the Balkan House. Shout out to the Balkan House. We appreciate them and their support, and we're gonna keep this show rolling about finding peace. Again, shout out to the Balkan House.
You know what, Yusuf, man? I'm in the mood for some Balkan food.
Yeah, man, me too.
Well, there's no better place to go for Balkan than the Balkan House restaurant. The Balkan House restaurant is famous for their doner kebab sandwiches. But did you know that the Balkan House now serves breakfast? Did you also know that all their food is 100% halal? There are currently 2 Balkan House locations, one in Hamtramck and one in Ferndale. But they now also have 2 food trucks, so you can book your next party or event with the Balkan House on wheels. If you're looking for a nice place to eat with friendly service and great prices, look no further than the Balkan House restaurant.
All right, great conversation so far. It's kind of like we're just warming it up right now, because we're kind of laying the foundation, letting you guys know where the conversation is going to go. So, I guess the next one is you mentioned that Allah gives us what we need. The people in Gaza have Allah. What more could one ask for? All right. So, I mean, again, these lines seem like they're, self-explanatory, but we want to, expand on it and just elaborate on it. So, talk to us. What did you mean by that?
That first part, Allah gives us what we need, is really important for all of us to grasp, because so many of us feel like we're in lack. If only I had. If only I was. When I get, then I'll be happy, content, have money, etc., 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 etc. And as long as you live in that lack mentality where your current state is not whole, it's not enough, you're inviting suffering. The reality is Allah gives you everything you need in the moment you need it. If you were meant to have that thing that you think is lacking, you'd have it now. But the reason you don't is because Allah wants to teach you something. It's not time yet. He's setting it up for you. Be patient. He's trying to teach you patience. There's a reason it's not here yet. And everything that you do have is exactly what you need. You have the tools, you have the people. Allah doesn't leave a soul. He doesn't leave a soul. Even the ones that leave him, he doesn't leave them. And so that is a really important thing to preface the next part of the statement, which is the people of Gaza have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what more could you ask for when Allah is on your side? You just mentioned Battle of Badr. It's the same concept. They had Allah, and Allah's going to give them what they need. And so it's important because as we look at what was happening, well, where are the Arab leaders? Well, why aren't people doing anything? Well, yeah, exactly. Allah is giving them everything they need. And so long as you're in this lack mentality, you're inviting suffering. Why don't you just release it to God? Trust in him enough. I think he knows what he's doing. In our limited capacity with the brain that Allah has given us, which is immense, but it doesn't compare to the orchestration of Allah and this universe, let alone just Earth. He knows what he's doing. So just accept that and release it and give it to him. They have Allah. That's all. They have everything they need. So, you know, because there's been so much of blaming and pointing, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be critical of others. It's important to hold people accountable, and it's important to see things for what they are. But saying it's because of you, no, this is how it's playing out. It's not any one the blame game helps nobody.
Nope. Doesn't solve any problems.
No, it's such a waste of time.
I remember, I think we were talking about it in a couple episodes ago when they were like, there was a post, I guess, that someone was saying that someone from Gaza was saying, oh, no, don't feel bad for us. We feel bad for you. We have the martyrs. We have Allah. We know, like, we're fighting for ourselves. Like, you don't need to feel bad for us. You're living where you feel like you're comfortable, whatever, but we know that we're, like, doing what we're supposed to do, and also, like, Allah's not going to forget about us. And I was just like, that's true.
The Palestinian people have proved to me that they're the true believers. They're like, their families are dying. They're saying Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
You know, SubhanAllah, they know that this is Allah's plan. And I don't know, for me, it's just like, you know, I can never imagine myself in their position. And that's where I'm like, wow, I need a lot of work to do.
Like, the women are literally sleeping with their salah outfits on, and they're all sleeping in all one corner just so if they die, they're all dying together. Like, imagine, how are you, like, I can't even imagine myself sleeping if I was just, like, had a little splinter in my hand. Like, it would bother me until, like, I had to, like, forcefully put a melatonin and knock out. Imagine literally thinking, like, oh, we could die in a couple hours or a couple minutes. Let's all die together. I can't. And I think that's so bratty of me to even say, you know? But alhamdulillah, like, what they are going through is completely something that I really, really hope, you know, we already know they're going to be free. We already know the people that are dying are martyrs, are straight to heaven. So I can't worry about them, but it still breaks the heart.
And we already know that on the day of judgment, the oppressors will be dragged.
Absolutely.
And held accountable. So,
and I think it's important what you mentioned, Melanie, about reevaluating ourselves. I think this was, you know, that same post or the same show that we had, you know, I think the guy was like, we're not being tested. You're the ones that are being tested. You know, the people that are at home, and just, well, what are we doing about it? You know, that was a strong line that he said. He's like, we already passed our test. You're the ones that are being tested now. And that's so, right. You know, it's a reevaluation of our lives. I think this is what's happening right now is kind of making us focus on that. And, you know, to be honest with you, you know, anytime I've seen that, like, I sometimes want to hug my daughters, you know, tell my family I love them, because it really does make you feel like, you know, like you really do take things for granted. And maybe this was Allah's way of showing the world that, you know, we should be showing some more gratitude for what we do have, for the people that are not in that situation, and for them to come out of it and saying Alhamdulillah or Hisbillah wa ni'mal wakeel, like, they're saying these things on the camera, and you just sit there and you be like, man, like, I am all, you know, we're far off where we need to be. But I think another great point was that you mentioned Allah gives us what we need. You know, when I read that, I was like, I think that's important to also touch on because you didn't say what we want, it's what we need. Allah knows what we need. You know, what we want is a whole different category. And I know we kind of try to get the things that we want, and sometimes it doesn't happen. And there's a reasoning behind that. You know, we as Muslims believe that everything happens for a reason, and Allah knows best. So I think that was a great point that you brought up, that Allah gives us what we need because He knows maybe that the thing that we want could be leading us astray, you know, or whatever it may be. So great point.
Melanie, I just want to say, from the last time we had you on here, you said rejection is protection. That never left. I literally the other week,
She always says it.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but like that was probably my favorite thing I've ever, like, advice I've ever gotten from somebody. Or why am I getting emotional? Because it's just like you get so mad, or you're like, unfortunately, the way I'm wired is like I'm a planner, and you're like, oh my god, like I want this to happen, X, Y, and Z to happen, and then when it doesn't, you get frustrated. Subhanallah. But every time I've worked on that so much ever since I heard you said that.
It's life changing, isn't it?
It's life changing, and I remember posting that specific clip and like so much great feedback. I love you for that. Like, wallah. Like, I literally, if I could get it on a shirt or a sweater, I'll do it.
I could do that for you.
Rejection is protection. That's actually
Oh
good.
my god, I love that. I love it. That's how I'm living.
And anyone could wear that.
Yeah.
Even though like it kind of has like a
No,
No, it's
I'm just throwing it out there.
it's for
I know, I was
anybody.
gonna say it has a relationship.
I guess we're gonna have to talk
Feel
after this.
to
No, that's a job rejection.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
it's
I know.
anything with life.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. If somebody first sees it, that's the first thing they're gonna
That's
think.
not what I thought of it.
Yeah. Oh,
I
okay.
thought of it just like literally anything I want. Like, even if I went to like a cookie shop and the specific cookie I wanted, they were all out or sold out. Like, sometimes I get frustrated because like I'm craving it, But there's a protection in that too.
And we have deep-seated rejection wounds that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
I was literally just doing like inner child healing like 3 days ago. I had to go back in time to the first time I could remember feeling rejected, and I had to talk to that third grader. I'll go into the story. Why not?
Of course.
I was in third grade, and I had just finished lunch, and I'm heading out for lunch recess into the playground. And two girls were waiting for me at the door. And as I opened the door, I thought they were my friends. Well, I did. Like, they were the girls that I played with at recess every day. So these aren't random chicks. And I opened the door, and there they are. And they're like, you're not one of us because you're Arabic. And I'm like,
Kids are mean.
Ayo, what did little third grade Melanie do? I ran after them. And that's what we do. We chase people, because when someone rejects us, we're like, hey, oh no. First of all, I need to know why. And second of all, you need to know why. I'm the business. Like, you can't reject me. Maybe that's my Arab pride, but because some people would retreat, I go towards it. When someone rejects me,
So you want to prove them, like,
exactly, you want to prove them. How has that thread, since that little third grade girl developed her wounding, how has that moved me throughout my whole life, to even towards building my business? I had this need to prove. When investors said no to me, I was like, just wait.
Yeah.
I had to prove something. But that's not good energy to move from.
Yeah.
You do good because it's good to, Allah loves those who do good. Because you're in service to Allah, and that's it.
And that goes back to peace. Because when you believe rejection is protection, you're in peace with yourself. You're not like, oh my God, I'm not good enough, or oh my God, they're so mean, and everybody hates me and all that stuff. No. You know, if what's meant for you is for you.
That's right. And I literally went back in time, because your mind doesn't know the difference, to overwrite that memory. And I looked at that little girl, and I was like, after, she was told that, I looked at her and I said, but you aren't like them, are you? Because you would never do that to somebody. You're not like them. Well, alhamdulillah, you're not like them.
Whether you're Arabic or white, black, Muslim, not, you would never do that.
I would never do that to some other girls. And so I told her, go find the people that like you and go spend time with them. And I truly saw myself like giving my younger self a hug. And that's how you heal through that wound. Because after that moment that I did that, you overwrite that wounding with healing. And now when I move through life, when somebody says no or somebody rejects me, that phrase, rejection is God's protection, isn't just a sentence that I have to say to remind myself. No, I'm already in the energy of, oh, they're not for me. That's not my tribe. Yep. Those aren't my people. It's okay.
Or that thing is not for me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't bless me.
You know, once you believe that your rizq is written, your rizq, when the people that you meet, you know, your sustenance, whatever it is, you have that peace. You understand that, like you said, Allah gives you what you need. But you know, dua, guys, dua is the only thing that could change qadr. So if there's something that you really, really want, dua got you.
Aywa.
Great points.
صح.
Great points. A tide is turning. This time is different. Was the next bullet point, and I think this was a. You're looking at me like you didn't even know that you said that. You're looking at. She was like, "Oh wow,
Did I say that?
yeah." She said that.
What did I mean?
I'm like, I'm poetic.
Yeah.
No, a lot of personification.
I'm assuming what you're. I mean, I'm assuming you're referring to Gaza and the coverage and how people are seeing what's going on now, and people are actually non-Muslims are actually being able to see it this time around, and now they actually see what's going on, and a lot of people are picking up on what's going on, and they're realizing like, hey, we may have been on the wrong side of history these last few years. Is that what you're referring to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we all saw that. The narrative shift happened even within myself. And I've been advocating, we've all been. Like, I remember when that photo came out when I was in high school of the parent protecting his little child. And I'll never forget that image. I was like 13, and that was the moment I became an activist for in life, but for Palestine. Like, that was my first intro into activism. My dad would take us to protests when we were in high school. But what I was able to process and actually synthesize and understand in these last 4 months, I didn't understand prior. Like, I didn't get it on that deep of a level before for whatever reason. And I truly think it's because Allah withheld it from certain people. It wasn't time yet for the narrative to shift in this way and for the tide to turn. Like, he literally shielded us. And that's why I did say, I don't know if it's in here, but I said this another time, is like, Allah seals the hearts of whom he wills, and he opens the hearts of whom he wills. I'm an intelligent person. Why didn't I pick up on this stuff before? But he sealed my heart and the hearts of so many others to certain things on purpose until it was time for the veil to be lifted.
Look how positive that was, because for instance, with me, I'm like, oh my God, what was wrong with me? Like, was I so closed-minded? Like, I was feeling guilty that I didn't do my research from before. But like, the way you just expressed it, like, maybe it wasn't meant for me to do that at that time.
Of course.
You're so awesome.
Of course. Don't put blame on yourself.
Yeah.
Just like we shouldn't blame others. Don't blame yourself. You're a smart person. You're a good person.
Yeah.
It's not a deficit in you. It just wasn't meant. That information wasn't meant to reach you.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts? I've been on just that.
100%. I definitely feel kind of on the same page. One of the first protests that I heard about, or in the beginning, was I think in 2008. That's when I kind of understood a little bit, but not to this extent, like you were saying. But I feel like nowadays, it's out there. Like, you're literally on purpose not wanting a ceasefire. Like, you're just a evil person, I feel like, at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's out there. But definitely, I feel like there's the tide is turning. I see light at the end of the tunnel. It's a very, very far tunnel, like you were saying, maybe not in our lifetime. But people are quote unquote woke, you know? So I feel like it's
You look at Sada, right?
no, the world.
No, I'm talking about woke. When you look,
No, I just did it just to do it.
I
You done ruined my goat.
approve.
It was
I
good enough.
approve.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Oh my God.
It was good.
I was just joking.
Yeah.
No, but I agree. I definitely see the tide turning. I mean, I could see people who are like non-Muslims really like. It's still not a conversation, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I have some friends that are non-Muslim, and I'm gonna be honest, we don't talk about it. I personally don't want to talk about it because I would be so hurt if something is wrong.
I know what you
something
mean.
said wrong.
I know what you mean.
And like, I'm talking about like, I'm the type of person, I don't care if you do me wrong. I would not judge you off that one thing, but I would be so hurt if you did this conversation.
And you don't want
Yeah.
your relationship to.
You know what I'm
you don't want to
saying?
find out.
Yeah. And
Like,
so,
let me just not even.
so, but I know they see it. I know everyone is seeing what's happening. Listen, I know there are people that are seeing it and like they're hurt too, but like they're worried. Like they see the stories of people, you know, getting blackballed or blacklisted and stuff like that. You know, I'm talking about celebrities and all these influencers and stuff. So that's why a lot of people are quiet. That's why a lot of
I
people
used
are
to
not
be
saying anything.
very upset when some of my friends, you know, American ones, like didn't post awareness. I used to get mad in the beginning.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, what am I doing?
Let it
Like,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, like, I
So
mean,
I was
I
like,
don't
maybe
care.
they'll reach more people. Like, you know, in the beginning, how you're like all fired up. But I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you?
I'm gonna
Like,
be honest with you, but I'm still upset at the people who do say like the other side, like the celebrities or people like, because they do have an influence, you know, and so therefore, if they, to me, it's like I'd rather you just stay quiet, just because you do have an influence. I mean, it doesn't bother me as much because at the end of the day, that's their decision. But I get a little bit upset. You know, I'm looking at LeBron James' jersey right now. That's one of the people that I'm talking about right now, and so it's like, you know, like, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man, you know. But anyways, going back to that, I definitely see the tide turning, and then it's funny that you talk about like the sealing of the hearts thing. How Allah, which was that was the next phrase. This is literally what she said was,
Oh, that's so funny.
God seals the hearts of whom He wills and opens the hearts of whom He wills. And so, when you were talking about that, it made me wonder like about our family. You know, I'm not gonna get into details. Our family is a very interesting side. I'm talking about both sides, mom and dad's side. And so it's like I used to always growing up, like I used to like not really care about the news that's happening in our family. And my mom would tell me, oh, by the way, you know, your cousin from whatever call's coming. I don't even know who it is. You know, and there'll be like stories behind it. And I just don't know what it is. And I used to feel like that was the best solution for me because it's best for me not to know. And till this day, you know, I'm like, a lot of you, there's family members that are beefing with family members, and I don't even know the reason why they're beefing. I just have an open heart, and I just kind of like go and shake people's hands.
That's
and
the best way to be.
And that's the best way to
I
be.
wouldn't take a side.
Like, alhamdulillah, like I'm so happy for kind of my viewpoint. And even sometimes when something does come to me, I'm like, man, I don't even want to hear it. I don't want my viewpoint to change on that person, even though unless it's like life altering. But, you know, I think that was the best scenario for me growing up because I probably would have viewed people differently in my own family. You know what I'm saying?
You want to go?
So are you comparing that? I'm just trying to like see.
I'm saying like the sealing of the heart. Like I think Allah protected me from these situations for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, obviously, if you ask questions, you'll find out. I never really asked the questions, and that's why I never found out.
He kept you a neutral party for
Yeah.
a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that because, like I said, I try to keep a good relationship with both sides. I don't care really what happened. I just do what I do, you know, and keep moving forward. So, you know, alhamdulillah. That made sense or what?
Yeah, no, it did.
Okay.
I was just trying to see where you were going.
Yeah. I never found out. I mean, I never, you know, that meme, if you F around, you're going to find out, that one guy?
Yeah.
And didn't do either.
not-
I didn't do
yeah.
either of those. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's the best way to be as a neutral party, especially I feel like as we get older. Before when we were younger, we would get mad if your friend was not mad at the same girl that you're not mad at. You know what I'm saying? But like now it's like, listen, we're too busy. Like we got bigger problems.
And not only that, like truly everyone does have their own worldview and lens that through which they move in the world. And while it's upsetting, let's use LeBron as an example because it's innocuous, as upsetting as it is to see what he's doing, at the end of the day, we don't know his motivations. We don't know his fears. We don't know what moves him. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. We don't know who's really moving the gears. We just don't know. And it is upsetting, but at the same time, it's just like it's remaining neutral instead of feeling emotion around it allows you to just let people be who they are and accept people for who they are. And then align yourself with those who are like you and like-minded. And the ones who aren't, they're not for you. And it's hard because of the people. Again, LeBron's an innocuous example, but like if it like family members, half my family is not Muslim. I have intentionally not asked them anything, and I do not intend to.
Yep.
Because for people I love, I'm good. I don't need to know, you know? So we have to accept people as they are.
I think it's because we had like we're going to use LeBron James. we have these high
I don't like LeBron like that,
expectations.
by the way, that much. But,
I know you don't like him.
Yeah.
But because we have those high expectations, like, you know, he's a role model.
Very, very
to us.
influential.
Yeah,
That's
he's
the
a
thing.
role
He's
model.
very influential.
You know, a lot of the kids look up to him, especially like I could say half of my class loves LeBron James. You know what I'm
They don't
saying?
want him to corrupt
So
them.
we had these high expectations, then it hurt when we noticed that he did that, and that's like in life too. When you give people the right for you to get emotionally attached to them to the point where they can, you know, hurt you because you have these expectations, it'll happen with anybody.
Yeah.
So don't have those expectations, like you said. Like,
Exactly.
you know,
It's teaching you something still.
yeah.
I always tell my people around me, like when they're, for instance, saying like, oh yeah, he or she is a liar. I'm like, well, that's your experience with them, right? I feel like everybody treats everybody differently. Like I'll treat Amar differently. I'll treat, you know, like the way I treat him is how our relationship is and how it's designed to treat him. You know, like there's no such thing in the sense of a kind of fairness in that because of the relationship you have with them. So I don't like when people kind of like make it seem like that someone is a bad person in general. It's probably just a bad experience you had with them. And for like 80% of the people in the world, I really think that it is not bad people, it's just bad decisions, except for like, you know, the people that are, you know, doing all that, I was going to talk because, like,
it's,
you know,
it's the After Dark podcast.
yeah.
we already had
I
a few.
already started it.
Obviously, the people that are occupying, rapists, all that stuff, like those are the real bad people. But a lot of people just make bad decisions, but doesn't mean that
They're a
they're
bad
not.
person.
Yeah, they're a bad person.
Yeah, when the devil does move through people.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But I do think that the majority of people are doing their best.
Yeah.
And by the way, what you just said goes both ways because we are also the villain in other people's
Oh
stories.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And so as much as other people will do us dirty, and that's specific to the relationship we had with them, it goes the other way too.
And it's fine.
Exactly.
I mean, like, what do they say? Like,
Not gonna be everybody's cup of tea.
yeah, and also too, like, subhanallah, I feel like everyone is being the best that they can with the tools that they have around them.
Yeah. And two people, when they come together, they create a third energy.
Yeah.
So like we were saying today, people can just rub you the wrong way. And so the third energy that created could be a little chaotic. It could be a little mischievous. It could be a little dark. Two people with like, you know, that align, it's magical. It's otherworldly. And you're the same human. But connect with another, it creates a separate third energy.
Also, too, you probably met them while they're like don't have peace, you know, so they're corrupted, or you know, or they just simply had a bad day. So that's why, you know, I really think that people should kind of be more like not judgmental. What do they say? You have to give your, you know, your Muslim brother or sister how many excuses before you just assume or judge. So I'm really trying to rewire my brain in that sense, because I really feel like your akhlaq and the way your brain is working definitely shows your outside as well.
Good for you. You know what is the shortcut to doing that? When you don't judge yourself, you don't judge anybody else. The only time we judge others is when there's something about ourselves that we are judging. And when we judge ourselves, automatically you judge others. But when you fully accept yourself radically for everything you are, the deep, deep, deep darkness that's in all of us, that sometimes we don't like to look at, and we definitely don't like to admit, but when we can look at it, acknowledge it, accept it fully, and not judge ourselves or be in a state of shame or guilt around the things that we've done or who we are, we can get out of that place of judgment of self, and then you don't judge anybody. It's natural. Well, how could you judge somebody else if you don't judge yourself?
That requires a lot of healing.
Yes.
girl.
You damn right.
Way
You
too
damn right.
That's way easier.
Why you
said
think I
than
haven't
done.
been around for 4 years?
Yeah.
How do you get a cocoon, and where do you?
Where do you get one of them?
Yes.
Amazon. Well, actually, no, not Amazon.
Yeah, we don't have Amazon anymore.
Never mind.
On
Haute Hijab?
yeah, I got her
Haute
website.
Cocoons on sale.
That's right.
We're
That's
gonna
right.
put the shirts of or sweaters of rejection is protection.
That's right.
And we're gonna sell the cocoons as well.
That's right. Just a little plug, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
I have a broadcast channel on my Instagram, and every single morning I send out a daily morning message. And it really, if what I just said resonates with you, and you are looking to do some inner work, join that channel. And I send a voice note every morning, and it's really all of us just in one boat together, trying to figure this all out. So if that's something that resonates with you, definitely join the broadcast channel.
Shout out to Melanie. Go ahead and give her a round of applause so far. We're going to give a shout out to our next sponsor as well, which is BC Adhesives. We're going to give a shout out to our friends over there in Wisconsin. And then we're going to keep the show rolling. So shout out to BC Adhesives. And we hope that you are enjoying the show so far. And we are reaching the final third of it. So if you haven't found peace yet, inshallah, we give you some at least by the end of this episode. So shout out to BC Adhesives.
You know, I believe it's very important for every team to stick together. And what I do here at Oz Media to make sure we are all one glue is I stop by BC Adhesives.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it's used for.
Nah, Yusuf, it's not. But you can go to BC Adhesives for all your industrial adhesives needs. They do food packaging, book binding, product assembly, and many other industrial services. So if you are in need of adhesives for your business or having trouble with your current adhesives applications, you can contact them by phone 1-888-679-9825 or go to their website at www.bcadhesives.com.
And you feel when you're safe to just
Yeah.
speak freely.
True.
Alhamdulillah.
You know, I forgot to do this while the show was happening. Melanie, when you mentioned that you're not a big fan of, you know, the Women International Day and that stuff, you know, no, listen, no, hold on. Yusuf checked his throat as if he wanted to give us attention. What are your thoughts, Yusuf? Did you have something you wanted to share on that? Go ahead, man. You sure? I like to put him on the spot sometimes. You know, he has a microphone right there. I know he has an opinion on it. That's why he cleared his throat out loud. That's why we laughed a little bit. I was wondering if we want to check in with Yusuf in the back. But all right, you good?
He usually sends messages that say that his name is anonymous. He'll chat, but it's not live. So
Yeah.
So Anonymous couldn't, send us a question today.
Oh yeah,
Or-
you can text.
we
or
would
comment.
have got an anonymous comment for sure after that one. But shout out to Yusuf. Appreciate him in the back doing his thing, of course. So going back to the post, you finished off by saying that there's no justice comparable to divine justice. Indeed, Allah is the master planner. So, and I know you specifically use that as your closeout one. Why that line? I mean, I guess, you can talk a little bit more about that line, and then why did you say that as the final one?
Because every person had in their mind the way they wanted this to go, how they saw things moving, and what should happen next, and how justice should be enacted, and what it should look like for the oppressors. And just the amount of people that I saw making really, 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 really awful dua for the oppressors. And I get it. I understand where that comes from. There's a lot of rage. Imagine if we had made that, taken that same energy and asked for their hidayah, their guidance. Maybe all of that energy, instead of fueling hatred towards them, could have lifted something if we had all been fueling, may Allah give them hidayah. But we wanted to see them suffer. Lish. Then we're no different than them. How are we any different than them?
That was a good clap.
And I didn't like that. And I want to honor their emotions and give them the space. I would never go toe to toe with somebody on that because I understand their rage. But for that to also be so public, other people pick up on it. Other people read it. It becomes normalized after a while. And I also don't like that because Islam teaches us that you hate the deed, not the doer of the deed, the evil deed. Why? Lest you be unjust. Because if you have hatred in your heart for another, that hatred will come out in a way that most likely will not be just. Exactly what we're seeing. They still have generations and generations and generations worth of trauma that they are now enacting on the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Because they never transmuted that hatred and that deep, deep pain into something positive, into light, into forgiveness, into mercy. So what, we're going to do the same? So we're going to swallow up all their hatred that they're spewing at us so that we can go put it back, a game of ping pong of who can hold the ball of hate? That's not who we are. That's not Islam. That's not Muslims. That's not our Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And so this whole thing of wanting justice the way we want it, who are we? Allah is the divine orchestrator. He's the master planner. He will deal with everybody appropriately in a way that we can't even fathom. Nobody is more just. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-adl, the just. We think we know what justice looks like. We don't. Our understanding of what justice looks like in this earthly realm is nothing compared to Allah's justice. So we got to just give it to Him. Give it to Allah. Pray for their hidayah. Don't hold that hatred inside of you. Let it go. It's not doing you any favors, because guess what? You're most likely spewing it onto somebody else, and it's most likely your family or whoever you're spending the most time with. And I heard a lot of women saying that. I was taking it out on my kids. I had to stop it. I had to put it down. Well, you didn't have to be doing all that. You could have done something productive with that energy and still looked at it and, found a productive way to fuse that energy into and transmute it into something else, and not take it out on your children. And I'm not judging them by any means, because again, I get it. It's very heavy. I understand. It's just, there is another way. And reminding ourselves that Allah is the just and He's the master planner. Release, submit. What does Islam mean? Muslims are those who submit. Islam means submission. Give it to God. Submit it. It's not yours. Don't take it. Don't claim it. It's not worth it.
Can we, we want to just go ahead and give that a round of applause as well. I mean,
Like you said it in the most perfect way, in the most mature way,
and that's why you ended it with that line too, by the way. That's like the final.
No doubt. Like if none of this helped you,
Yeah.
here it is.
Yeah.
Let me sum it up for you.
Yeah. But go ahead, Ivan.
And I feel like I'm always trying to like relate this to like real life, not only the situation in Gaza, but that's in real life too. When you hold that hate towards anyone or anything, you're only hurting yourself at the end of the day. You are hurting yourself. They're going to move on and do them and continue and whatever. And you're going to be bitter and angry, and you're not going to have that peace, and you're not going to be able to, be a better person. And wallah, when you forgive, or when you don't even have to forgive, take the amr and leave it to Allah's hands, everything will go right. Honestly, like that was the best. You said it perfectly.
Yeah, and they're unaffected by your hate.
No, yeah, nothing's changing.
They're unneffected. Buddha says that anger is like drinking poison and hoping for the other person to die.
That was a good
Yeah, it's a great one too. Go ahead and give that a round of applause. Yusuf.
It wasn't my line.
I know, but still, it was a strong one.
Great one. I don't think everything will go right. I think you'd be at peace at the results that would happen.
Yes, 100%. You want to
Top? No, I don't need a round of applause.
No,
what you about to
that's
say,
true.
Sada?
100%. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah, Sada, what were you about to say?
You really made me happy when you made the comment of basically like if you're cussing at them or whatever, it just shows the reflection of us, but that's not how we're supposed to look. And I would tell my friends that, and I would tell people around that, like when they're like cussing at them or whatever it may be, and I'm like, no, like don't do that, because we look like we're crazy.
That's
and that
right.
we're mean, and that we're everything that they think we are. We're terrorists and we're ready to fight and all that.
And
like,
have you seen any Palestinians doing that?
No, they're always like, Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
They're
not doing it.
Yes, and it's because like we have this anger or whatever, and then we're trying to show how like we're so into the situation or whatever maybe, when no, like this is why if they put that effort into like learning what's right and what's wrong, or what the situation is, and maybe being able to express it to someone in a kind way, they're gonna feel stupid for thinking that they're negative or they're evil or whatever it may be. So like I always tell the people that I'm like, don't say things to them or don't attack them, because it's a reflection of you, and you wear the hijab, and you're going out. Like, I, regardless of anything now, like, I make sure I am being the best I can, because this is a representation of literally my everything. Islam is, of course, my religion is everything. So I always, like, and some people will think like, oh, like, what do you, like, you know what I mean? Like, you used to do this or this, or like, used to be able to, you know, like, not care what anyone says. I'm like, no, but like, this is my duty, you know? So, and I'm starting to have the people around me kind of understand that and want to do that as well. And just by doing little things like that, like, really makes a difference.
Yeah, you know,
image is everything.
I just want to say, going back to this, I said this on Saturday, and I do believe it is our duty to show people who we are. And I know it's not, I'm not trying to put that all on our shoulders, but it is our duty as Muslims to be, you know, good to our neighbors, to be, you know, showing people, you know, it's sunnah to smile at someone. Like, people all talk about making a difference, right? What's going on in Palestine? Well, you can make a difference by just being good to your neighbor, by being a good person to the people around you. There was a famous line that said, you know, your neighbor is not going to pick up the Quran and read it. They're going to look at you, and they're going to judge your religion and whatever you believe in off of how you act.
Yeah.
They're not going to pick up the Quran and start reading it just to see who you are or understand you. They're going to look at you for the person that you are. And that's why it's our responsibility. Like, you want to make change, going back, starting with yourself. How do you carry yourself when you're outside? Like, are you being a nuisance to your community? Are you causing trouble? Like, okay, well, now that's why they say those crazy Arabs, you know what I'm saying? Like, these Arabs are crazy. So, you know, start off with yourself. Practice on with yourself. Start off at the community level. Show them that, you know, this is who we are. We're very peaceful people. You know, Islam is all about peace. And so, and kind of go from there, you know? So I just want to reiterate it, because you do hold a responsibility. I mean, obviously, you could go from the family level. You know, you represent your family. You represent yourself. But you represent the religion of Islam, especially, no offense, but the women who are wearing the hijab, I mean, you are literally Islam walking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no offense taken.
Yeah.
Honor.
There you go. You know?
And it's not just a responsibility. Not only do we have a lot of responsibility, we have a lot of power.
Yeah.
We have a lot of power. I think responsibility almost feels burdensome and like, but I'm not good enough. Okay, that's fine. Reframe it. You have power in this world. Use it towards good. You have a lot of power. We all have personal power in very, very grand ways. And so how are you going to use that power?
You know, sometimes people think when they're being passionate about something that they could kind of act out with that. You know, like, oh, I'm so passionate. Like, I got heated in the moment. Of course, everybody is not perfect. Nobody's perfect or anything like that. But it's reflecting on that situation and trying to do better. Because you could be passionate in the most beautiful way possible.
Look at the story of the Rasul Sallallahu in Ta'if. When they threw stones at him and drove him out of that city to the point where he was bleeding, he was dripping blood. And the angels came to him and said, if you want, we can destroy this whole city and all its inhabitants. Is that what you want? And what did he say? And are we not unlike in that same situation? What did he say? No. Maybe there will be even one person from amongst them who later on in generations to come will see the truth and accept the truth. And now look at that area, all Muslims.
Yeah. That was a beautiful story that you mentioned. That was perfect.
SubhanAllah.
You know, earlier you were saying, you know, we represent the hijab, and I'm sorry, Islam with our hijab and the way that we, you know, act about and go about our days. People used to always think that I was too passive or I was too nice, and why are you doing that? And, you know, you defend yourself and you don't let people. And I've been saying this for years and years and years and years. I want to be that person, be like, wow, she's so nice. I want to calm the opposite. You know, if they come at me with anger, especially when, like, at the grocery store or, you know, parking your car or whatever it is, like, the only thing that I would get angry with is at games. Don't. I'm not the same person as I am, you know, outside. But for the most part, I let things go like that because I want them to see that, you know, we're not like that. We're kind. We're generous. So it's it's a beautiful thing. Like you said, it's a power. It really is. And but sometimes it does get exhausting when sometimes I have to force myself to be kind and to be talkative and to show them that we're smart. Because like, well, sometimes people they see the hijab and they automatically assume. But I feel like I have to like make sure that they know, like, oh no, I know what we're doing. I know what's happening right now. I understand. And
it's okay, by the way. There's sometimes when you gotta, like, I was on my way here and I wore like a baseball cap at the airport because I wasn't in the mood.
Yeah.
I was just so overstimulated that day, and I was like, I'm not trying to be on my best behavior and make sure I'm on my P's and Q's all day today. Like, I'm just going to go incognito. And I gave myself that grace.
Yep.
You know, because it is a lot to live up to 24/7 when people are staring at us in hijab to
no matter
see
what,
how you're going to move. And flying while Muslim is like a whole thing. In New York, of all places. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put this on right quick and just like go about my business, you know? And I don't feel any guilt or shame about that. Like, that's what I needed to do for myself that day. And so be it. It's all good.
I just want to say that it was a Detroit cap, by the way, right? Detroit cap. Shout out to Detroit.
True.
Yeah.
I told my brother because I needed one and I was going to buy a New York one. And then I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
No. And so my brother was coming to New York. I was like, hey, yo, when you're at the airport, grab me a hat. And then he brought it for me.
There you go. And then the second thing I've mentioned, or Melanie mentioned about how it's actually like a power that we have. We feel Abid's power at Remzi's basketball games. I can tell you that right now.
I'm a whole other person.
All right.
I don't know what happens to me.
Hey, let that mama out.
It's that mama bear.
No, no, don't let that mama out, okay? I told her I'm gonna have to sit on the opposite side of her from now on.
Listen, sometimes, girl, they don't. The referees don't know how to act. The other kids on the other teams is just too much. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny.
My baby.
So, Melanie, this is the Motivate Me 313 minute, even though I feel like I'm going to pull out probably some other clips because there's some good ones. How can someone release their desire of vengeance and leave their affairs to Allah? I know you kind of mentioned this kind of already, a similar conversation, but I guess maybe advice on how someone can leave that desire of vengeance and then leave their affairs to Allah.
Oh, man. I think the best way you can do that is by truly understanding that holding that vengeance in your heart is only harming yourself. And that person that you want to enact vengeance towards is never going to feel the weight of whatever it is you'd like to give them anyways. It's never going to play out the way you want it to. Even in relationships, when the girl or the guy just needs that closure, or they talk about revenge body or whatever it is like you're trying to do to the other person, you're never gonna get that grand movie-like moment that you're looking for. So you might as well put that energy into yourself, into something more worthy than fixating on something outside of you that at the end of the day you have zero control over. It's a waste of your time.
I love that. I love it. Go ahead and give that a round of applause. Abid, do you want to add on to that? I mean, I know this was one that you definitely wanted to ask. You mentioned this as well. Like, what are your thoughts on that question?
I believe that in this world, it is better to be the oppressed than the oppressor. So if you get oppressed, leave it to God. And believe me, you will, on the day of judgment, where all of your deeds will be out there, you'll be racking up everything that they owe you. So it's not worth it in this dunya. Don't waste your energy or your time trying to get your revenge. There will be a day where all the things that you let go or let slide will be a benefit to you.
Go ahead and give that a round of applause, Abid. That was a deep line right there.
I'm telling you.
And in this world, some people are going to be like, call you crazy. But she literally just said, in this world that we live in, I'd rather be the oppressed than the oppressor.
And
that literally shows someone that's living for the moment, living for the akhirah, for the afterlife, And that was a great line. What's up? Is that how we're going to roll this? How did you want to add anything on that one too?
Well, sometimes you don't need to get your lick back, like she said, Let God do all the work. Yeah. Good karma comes around, bad karma comes around. The karma that you deserve will come to you. And to go back to what you were saying, that going back to the vengeance and stuff, basically everything she said, and when you work on it, you'll get your peace.
That's great. That's great. Well, listen, before we close out the show, I'm going to have to ask you guys a personal question, each and every single one of you. So be ready for that. Before we do that, again, shout out to all the sponsors. You got Balkan House, Juice Box, Qahwah House, BC Adhesives, Specialty Medical Center, and Hanley International Academy. Follow us on all of our socials, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all under Oz Media. You can listen to the show later on, because I know you're looking at me. I mean, why are you looking at me that hard? And you can listen to the show on Apple and Spotify podcast under Oz Media. Shout out to Melanie, as always. And so this is where we do the final word. And instead of you guys just blabbering and saying, "Oh, we appreciate you for having us," coming on. You know what I'm saying? The usual.
Great show.
Yeah. From 1 to 10, 10 being great. Rate your current at peace level in your hearts. And be honest, because people are going to be watching and they're going to be like, man, I appreciate them for being honest. So, keep it real. From 1 to 10, 10 being the best. Rate your at peace level. And, if y'all still looking like y'all thinking, I'm going to straight up start off with, alhamdulillah, I feel like I'm at an 8.
Oh.
8.5. You know what I'm saying? Because alhamdulillah, I'm slowly starting to give way to Allah with a lot of stuff. And I feel it. I'm not just saying it. Like, I could sit here and lie to you and say it, and I would be lying to myself, but I'm starting to believe it. And I think Allah is accepting everything that I'm trying to dish out.
How did you get there?
Through mistakes. You know what I mean? Through mistakes, not trusting it. I mean, not believing, not tawakkaling ala Allah. You know what I mean? Like, not actually sincerely believing in it. Like, I had to actually let go. And alhamdulillah, you asked. We've been pounding away content. Alhamdulillah, it's like I've been busy, but it's a good busy. You know what I'm saying? It's not a stressful busy. And I'm saying alhamdulillah because, obviously, it's very important to mention that because, again, leaving in Allah's hands is all on Allah. So it's like being content, alhamdulillah, my wife got beautiful daughters and being so busy with everything, things are starting to connect. Everything is starting to connect. The only reason why I'm not saying a 9 or a 10 is because of what's going on in the world. You cannot just turn a blind eye to it. I would be lying to say it doesn't affect me. It definitely does. We turn on. Anytime you're on social media, you see something. So it's like, it's still going on. Like, even when the Lions are winning, you still felt weird. And that's why it's like, so we need to definitely figure some things out. But alhamdulillah, that's where I'm at. I don't want to go on a contention here. But Sada, where are you at, Sada?
I'm going to say like a 5.7. And it's because I know it's more than half, because I have seen I have seen myself change in so many ways, and I am definitely proud of myself, but I do have a lot of issues in a sense of with my PMDD, which really affects me 2 weeks out of the month and stuff like that. So the 2 weeks that I'm not on that I don't have PMDD, I feel like I could say I'm like a 7.5 or but having that 2 weeks out of the month really does affect me, and it really does it's like me fighting with my own brain. So I'm working on it. I'm actively working on it, so I'm proud of myself in that sense. That's why the other 2 weeks I'll give myself a 7. But subhanallah, I really am proud of what I'm becoming, or how I view myself, at least, for sure. But I know I'm still a work in progress.
As your older brother, I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you as well.
Likewise,
Sada,
I'm
and everything that you're doing.
Stop getting me. Stop. I'm gonna cry. But go on. No, don't get
Put
me.
the camera on her, man. We need this clip. Nah, I'm joking. Abir, what is your 1 to 10 level? At peace level, by the way, if you're just watching.
6.5. I feel like there's, I don't know. I feel like the stresses of the world get to me. It's having so much change and seeing my son grow up. Like I wish I can be more present. I feel like that's where I, causes the anxiety, looking at the past and worrying about the future. And it's so hard, like, being in the position that I am, being the sole leader of my household or whatever. It's like, it's a lot to juggle and to make sure, and the pressure, and, I'm still at the level where I still judge myself constantly. I feel like that's where, like, why I don't have the peace, And I try, like, it's hard. Like, I'm my biggest critic, and I know that. So that's why I would say 6.5.
Well, as your little brother, I just want to let you know that I'm proud of you as well, Abid.
For sure. Role model.
Can I give you a hug right now? I wanted to give Sada a hug too, but she's probably a little too far away. There you go. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate you, Abid. Seriously.
Alhamdulillah. I'm an ugly crier. Stop, guys.
I just want to say, for all of the men watching, what you just saw right now is so important, because women are really lacking protective men in their lives, whether it be siblings or fathers or spouses. And you guys don't know what it means to have a man who makes us feel so seen and safe in the world. And so just that little moment between the two of you, like, it was nothing to you to say that to your sister from your heart. It meant the world to her.
Don't make me cry.
It means the world to us. Truly, it does. Because women are lacking in that. For whatever reason, just the way that the energies have moved, our men are suffering too. They really are, and which is why they can't show up for us the way they need to. So for those men who've got it, this was such a beautiful example of how to show up for the women in your life. So that was beautiful. Just wallahi, I was driving here, and my brother, I'm going through something myself, and he's like, Melanie, can I just basically solve the whole issue for you? Can I just do this thing for you and just give you everything that you need? And I was like, no, I'm going to figure it out. Don't worry about it. And he's like, Mel, just let me help. Like, I'll take care of it. I'm like, no. And I got off the phone with him, and I just started crying, because I was like, Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed me with brothers, a dad. Like, the men in my life show up for me and love me so much, and they really protect me. And I know not everyone has that, but it's such a blessing. So I just wanted to say that this is why I love to come here. I love you guys. Wallah, you guys are. May Allah increase you all in love and deeper connection and deeper bonds with one another. Wallahi.
I mean, thank you.
Oh, we didn't hear your peace level.
Oh, you know what's funny is, like, my gut immediately said 8. But then I kind of second guessed myself. I'm like, is it an 8? And then I was like, no, go with your gut. And so only because what I'm going through right now is heavy. But I'm like, no, I got it though. It's heavy. But, maybe 2 years ago, same situation, I would have been at a 5. But alhamdulillah, I've grown, and Allah has given me so many tools to navigate tough situations. It's probably only going to get more tough from here, because I can handle more now. Mm-hmm. But I'm able to still navigate it with a sense of positivity, optimism, absolute trust in Allah that it's all going to work out. And alhamdulillah, even though things are difficult right now, I'm 100% at peace and 100% positive that it's all going to work out.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And with that said, I'm sure you would agree, like, we still gonna have our moments and our days. I still do. Like Yusuf would tell you, there'll be a morning we'll be in here, and I might be upset at something like little, and really, obviously probably something else is bothering me at the moment. It's like, dude, like, okay, relax, take a deep breath, but alhamdulillah, when you really reflect, and you just hope that your heart is content and happy with where you're at, or at peace with where you're at. So again,
alhamdulillah, at the end of the day, alhamdulillah, for the good, the bad, the trials, the tests, and the good days.
For sure. Well, there you have it. This was, again, season 3, episode 19 of Motivate Me 313's podcast with Melanie. Can we give her one final also round of applause? And everybody over here, honestly, this Melanie
therapy session.
Yeah, Melanie does a great job with, even as the guest, she includes us in the conversation as well, by rebuttaling some of the questions back to us too.
Allows a safe space.
Yeah. We all just, we want to share and stuff. I mean, we were talking as soon as we came in here. We was straight to a deep conversation.
Eat like this.
Yeah, we were straight into it. This is before the show, and, continue on after. So, alhamdulillah for everything. Melanie, any final words and final comments? We appreciate it. By the way, I know you said it, but we appreciate you every single time you come on as well. That's why, we will stop what we're doing and try to figure out a day that works. And so, alhamdulillah, and she let us go watch Ramsey's game, adjusted the thing, so we watched Ramsey's game and everything, so we appreciate that too, for sure.
No, thank you guys for last minute squeezing me in. I know I came into town kind of the last minute, so thank you. No, wallah.
Anytime, wallah.
Final words, trust in Allah, let it go. Whatever it is you're holding on to, just let it go. Give it to God. It's better in His hands anyways. Just let it go, and you will find peace, guaranteed.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe, like, follow, and be safe, and continue working on your inner peace, because that's where it all begins. Have a great rest of your week, and have a good one.